Hello and welcome to another scene set in Desert Dark Crusade Season 2. Tonight, we set our scene with the one and only Gerard, Lord Gerard II of Tours, who has been invited to an informal get-together nicely hidden amidst a courtly gathering of Frankish nobles in Baldwin's gift. Gerard is invited to a very nice looking, although not as grand, noble's house within Baldwin's gift. It's recognized as one of the homes of one of the noble families known by House Lasombra family, and one that Gerard certainly recognizes. They've been here since the city was conquered. Had a reputation for very militant aggression. Very much on the side of the Crusaders, being Frankish, but lost a lot of their power once the city traded back hands towards the Seljuk armies. Although their current head of the family has been making much headway into resolving that issue, he has been slowly reversing the house's image from one of aggressive, pious hypocrisy to one that is more diplomatic, no less militant, but now one that is more universally appealing, one that is in the defense of the city rather than a particular faith and a particular faction of the city that has since been ousted. As you make your way through the building, you're led from the entrance hall into a large hallway, up a stairwell, where there is a simple, small round table overlooking the balcony. You can hear the sounds of the mortals kind of dancing around below, sounds of medieval instruments being played to a rather a pleasant melody, but nothing particularly special or inspiring. But at that table, as you are guided by a most courteous servant, is this woman, who seems to have a look of similar to yours, one that is almost perpetually stern, but stands and curtsies before you as you approach.
So for his part, Gerard is unarmed and unarmored, in his finest regalia, and will, as he is led into this room and sees the lady curtsy, who can only assume is the hostess of the evening, he will move up to a polite distance and will deeply bow. Milady.
My lord, it is a pleasure to formally meet you. Andreea Ardelian.
Gerard II of Tours. And indeed, the pleasure has been long delayed, and criminally so.
I apologize for
my
the
doing.
delay, but
it is my doing. It is no fault of your own.
he nods, accepting your gesture, with a degree of respect. And the servant, she'll just snap her fingers, and the servant will pull out a chair for you, quickly scurry off. He's gone for about a minute, but as you take your seat, you see him soon scurrying out with 2 goblets that smell particularly tinny. Your fine sense of ventry smell and taste recognize this as blood that would fit your taste, although the other goblet would not. You can only presume it would fit hers.
Gerard politely waits for it to be served, and then will sort of crane his neck in her direction and cross his legs comfortably and say, "It is a fine party, from what I saw passing through."
Indeed. The head of Houseless Stores has been taking pains to reach out to some of the less fortunate parties among the city. Tonight he has invited House Montfort to a gathering, no doubt to arrange some sort of alliance with them. They've been left out of the line of communication for the most part.
One would wonder what took him so long.
His grandfather, as I'm sure you're aware, was a
fool?
Rather frivolous man, yes. He made few friends in the city.
I dealt with him rather extensively. So frivolous as to be an obstacle.
Oh, quite so. If rumors...
I'm glad to see that's no longer the case.
Oh, yes. I find the current housemaster to be much more pliable. His grandfather was so problematic that I believe at one point he even challenged another Cainite to a duel. Lost horribly, of course. It did us little good.
C'est la vie.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there.
C'est la vie.
Indeed. If I may ask, how are the knights treating you since your re-arrival here?
I've been keeping myself busy.
So I hear. Leading a...
For the glory of the clan and whatnot.
Oh no, I hear good things about you since your reawakening. Leading a coterie of other Cainites. Wretched creature. A fine example to set.
I find the state of the city's Cainites to be crude. There are some canny rivals, yes, but for every one, there are 3 completely insufferable
It is my opinion that this court has perhaps been far too charitable in regards to who it allows to dwell within its walls, and without the atrocious standard of etiquette that they sow between themselves.
It's hardly to be unexpected amongst such unrefined individuals. The ways of home are sadly lost somewhere along the road. And those who are native, well, things are different.
I find too different. If I did not know better, I'd accuse the city of being run by a bruiser.
Such is the way of things. Well, he gestures towards her.
My grievances aside, the prince is hardly the true threat to us, not even the so-called true heirs. I find personally that it is the prince's puppeteers that are our greatest obstacles in our endeavours in these nights. As, however, considering that they have long held praxis over these lands, a shame as it is, it appears with awakening and the arrival of several other Canaanites that the Clan of Shadows has hastened in its operations across the city. Are you aware of the houses they control?
Some, I'm sure. Though I must admit that since I have been back in the city, I have gone out of my way to keep the waters calm for the time being. My reputation amongst them is not the best, as you likely well know. I'm sure you've heard absolutely awful things about me.
Oh, nothing that those puppet kings could ever say to your face.
Interesting you say that. I have yet to find one willing. But I do not discount their sway in things. They've managed a tidy little grip on the city.
While I often find they mistake cowardice for subtlety, they have made great use of the tactic. She says that rather grudgingly. the so-called Lady Katerina has presented herself as the face of clan's influence among the upper crust. Although I suspect that perhaps are more like her, working alongside her to disrupt my sway along houseless doors.
None that we would consider enemies, given such a title freely, or without without cause. I am thoroughly interested in loosening their grip, theirs and others. Personally, I find this conflict we find ourselves embroiled in to be well beneath us, while the quote-unquote true heirs, he says, knowing that that is a pop culture reference that should not exist. While the true heirs are free to spectate unmolested.
Yes, I'd be inclined to agree with your assertions. It's funny you should say, actually. The vast majority of the so-called true heirs have their domains present outside the city walls. I doubt they could interfere in a significant capacity even if they wished to do so. Perhaps the Tizmisi or the Assamites, if they're willing to invest. But not a whisper from either. It appears they have abandoned city politics for their own aims.
I do hope that our
One
alliance with the Tremere proves fruitful, but I would prefer we could focus our efforts elsewhere. Like reclaiming our place alongside the current leaders of the city.
Currently, Odessa's court holds far more power than either one of our factions, unfortunately, due to this very infighting. The civil war weakness.
So would you not
Sorry.
think that the way forward would be to end this pointless hostility as quickly as possible?
Oh, indeed. I believe many on this side of the yard wish for the conflict to come to an end. The treaty does work to our advantage in this context. Unfortunately, the Tizmisi nor the Salubri will have any of it. They are far too involved in settling grudges that they have already, that have already been resolved for them to ever make peace.
I wonder then if perhaps a deft hand and a swift stroke may see them lose taste for such things.
An eyebrow quizzically raises.
Things have been fairly silent for the time being. Turns out that the Salubri don't appear to be particularly well organized or intelligent, based on my recent dealings with them.
They are divided despite their attempts to provide a unified face at a moral crusade. Their warriors are arrogant and reckless, and the healers are too soft to put forward any lasting change.
Or if perhaps there is a way to weaken the bonds between the three arrayed against us. I don't believe I'm reinventing the wheel. I'm certain that we've thought of such things before, but I wonder at the approach.
Well, sorry, what approach? A little bit laggy.
I wonder about the approach.
Yes, I have been advocating for a more maneuver, but my grandsire would be more than happy to see them in a honourable conflict outside the city gates.
That's not what I mean. I shall have to ponder. I shall have to ponder upon this subject some more, I think. I don't think that it is a military conflict, nor do I think that politics will be the issue.
I look forward to seeing what you have planned. For if I may offer a word of, not advice, but perhaps a suggestion.
By all means.
Few clans are united in their purpose, and none come without their dissidents, even our own. The Salubri, and it is easy both, due to the nature of what they portend to represent. I'm confident have those who disagree with their own clan's vision of a necessity. Perhaps if you were to find these younger and more amiable canines and get them on side towards our goals, it would empower us and weaken their own clan's endeavours from the ground level up.
The thought had crossed my mind.
He takes a sip of drink. of her blood.
But that aside, what is the you had mentioned in your letter something of the state of the court. I was hoping you could perhaps elaborate further in person.
Sorry, what was the part of the letter that you were mentioning? Sorry, because I have it up.
Oh, well, hang on. Maybe not. Maybe you mentioned cooperation, I suppose.
She did. Yes. I have made a maneuver to garner more sway among the noble courts of this city, under the guise of a simple competition regarding the disparate philosophies of the respective roads among luminaries. Whoever is able to garner the most influence within respective courts and among the nobles. Sorry, among the nobility, sorry, I should say, not nobles. She's not a simpleton, she doesn't use bad words and grammar. Among the courts of nobility would be granted political prestige, and boons would be owed. Of course, they seem to believe in a false concept of well, shall we simply say they believe in a false set of standards that hamper them at every turn. This so far I've used to my advantage, but it has been impeded somewhat recently.
Interesting.
I believe there are now other powers at play, backing one of my would-be contestants, Lady Katerina. She currently holds degree of control over House Vendome, a house that had the great benefit of having a more reputable state than mine when the city traded hands. I've also been witness to some coincidental scandals and incidents among my house and various others that all appear to have occurred within a very short time frame, that all conveniently seem to benefit her court over others. For Lady Astor's part, she has gained some sway over House Al-Aziz, but she is rather quiet in her workings concerning no overt play, and our house remains in the same position as it was before. Stable, but not particularly relevant. I mentioned before that this evening House Lestours was meeting of House Montfort. They are currently a house without a leader, small and recent, and as such have been overlooked. But their interests align with Lestours. And their connections might serve you well.
Gerard nods and leans forward, knitting his fingers together and resting them on the table. What would you have me do?
The more houses under Ventrue control, the better. I can garner you prestige among House Montfort through the patronage of the Lestours. As for our rivals, Bellion has been making attempts to connect with House Vendome via a political marriage, and has manufactured a scandal, or so I suspect, to damage the reputation of House Stopian. While this leaves them vulnerable, this also leaves them in a somewhat unsatisfied state with both houses, and as such, much more amenable to us.
An opportunity yet unseized.
Oh, pardon?
It said an opportunity yet unseized.
Indeed.
Very well. I will see what is in my power to effect.
Montfort's military presence is humble but not insignificant, and I think you'll find they have a large amount of sway among the city's clergy. They are known for taking in pilgrims and holy men of all sorts.
Use for that.
We can use them as a springboard to expand further into other avenues. And it puts you in a position that no other house is in, one of neutrality. Every other house has political leanings or rivalries of some sort or another, but Montfort is too recent. While this means it is small, it also means that when there is a dispute, you're in a position to mediate.
Very well.
But you may make of that I will push to ensure that our houses are as closely connected and cooperative as possible. Should you require or desire any assistance from my house in the endeavours of House Montfort, or avenues that benefit the clan, what we might assist in, you would have it.
And I appreciate the offer. If it is needed, it will be taken. I do not believe in damaging the interests of the clan over petty pride. But I also have
I almost feel
great confidence in my ability to manage the situation.
okay. The last part of that statement is true. She simply nods. Very well. Well then. I appreciate you accepting my invitation. However, is there anything else you would wish to discuss? Or would you perhaps like to begin establishing yourself amongst your new court?
Gerard will lift his goblet for a moment before taking a sip, and then sets it down, pushes himself up. I do believe that there's plenty attend to now. Thank you for your hospitality.
Many thanks. Have a pleasant evening. I believe we may yet run into each other again this evening, however. I shall myself.
I'm certain that it will come to pass. And he bows, and then... Go ahead.
Oh, she simply says, like ships in the night.
Indeed. Straightens up, presses his, and then takes his leave.
And with that, the servant of Miss Lady Ardelian, once you have, he bows before you as he's at the top of the stair. He's outside of he was never permitted to hear these two nobles speak. However, once you depart, he bows before you gracefully, and you can see him tuck in your chair and take away the drinks. Downstairs. He heads down the ground floor, and then further down appears to be some sort of kitchen area. And then as you walk down and begin mingling, and needless to say, you have much gravitas. You also find Miss Ardelian, true to her word, like ships in the night, mingling among the crowd as well, as you both slip into the crowd. And there we can call it scene. Thank you, player, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching.